Back on Course Record, I'm Michael Breed, joined now by the legendary coach, national champion coach in 1988, Lou Holtz. Coach, good to see you. How are you?
I am doing well, Michael. It's always good to be with you. I've watched you on TV and we spend time together. So it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You bet. All right, before we get to all this stuff, I just have a question. I was doing a little research, found out that you played football at Kent State and played linebacker. I'm wondering, you had to have a little bit more mass when you were playing linebacker for Kent State. The experience of playing linebacker, what was that like for you? And don't tell me that it was short because you got hurt.
Well, people don't ask me very often about that, but I think it's a great question. I say I weighed 156 pounds, but let's remember that days, guards were like 190 or 185. Tackles were like 205. People say, what was it like to play linebacker when you were so little? I said, I don't know. I was never big. I can only tell you this. I enjoyed it. It hurt. But the great thing was the team camaraderie, et cetera.
Yeah, and then you moved right into the coaching ranks in 1960. I want to ask you a question about something I know that is very important to you, and that's self-discipline. It's a big part of being a good golfer. It's obviously very important for being a great teammate, but you've got some special thoughts on the importance of self-discipline.
I think discipline's critical to everything you do. And when you discipline somebody, it's not what you do to them, it's what you do for them. I think it's absolutely critical that you have to have the discipline in anything you do, whether you're a mother, a father, a business person, or a golfer. You have to discipline yourself to follow regimentation, practice, adherence to fundamentals, etc. And usually what I find with golf and here at Lake Nona is everybody wants to work on what they do already very well. I play with one guy, hits the ball 280 yards. I mean, and every time I look at him, he's working on his driver, and he's one of the worst putters in the world. And he's a physician. I said, how in the world can you operate on somebody with those hands the way you putt? But we have to be disciplined to understand what areas do I have to improve? What areas do I have to get better in?
It's fascinating. You and I met a long time ago, back in the late 80s when I was down in Augusta, Georgia, and I got a chance to play some golf with you. Where did the passion for the game of golf come from for you growing up in, I think it was Fallonsby, West Virginia?
Well, I was born during the Depression. My father had a third grade education, so golf was not a very big priority in our life. I never really followed it or anything else. I football, basketball, baseball, yeah. But then what happened is I go to NC State, and I was fortunate the 4 years I was there, we were invited to 4 bowl bids, and it was a golden era. Well, one thing they did at NC State was in the spring, you would go to Charlotte, you go to Greensboro, you go to different cities, and they would have alumni meeting. And you would go, you'd play golf with the people in the afternoon, you'd have dinner that night. And that's when I was really introduced to the game of golf, and I just fell in love with it. It's competitive. It's about you versus a course. It's not like anything else. And you work hard to improve. You're never going to master the game of golf, but it was the greatest getaway for me from the pressures of coaching. I got out on the golf course, I didn't worry about anything. And unfortunately, my wife doesn't play golf or didn't play golf. I lost her at 59 years on June 30th, but she never resented me going to play because she knew how relaxing it was and what an important part it played in my life. But I did teach my 2 sons to love golf, and they both play, and they're both much better than I am. As a matter of fact, I'm taking my son and my 2 grandsons to Augusta, and that will be special for the 4 of us. But it's just a great game. It's a family game. Nothing better than playing with your sons or your daughters or your wife. But unfortunately, I didn't have that opportunity.
You mentioned your family. You sent a number of your children, I believe 3 of them, to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, you took the head coaching job there in 1986, and in 1988 you win a national championship. And quite frankly, you go on a nice run from 88 to I believe it was 93. You win 5 of 6 bowl games. I mean, it was a great run. What was so key in you and that team in '88 winning the national championship?
Well, I think to win a national championship, you have to be lucky. We're playing Miami. They'd won like 33 in a row. They go for two. We knock the pass down the last minute of the game. We win the national championship. You've got to be lucky when you win it. Thank God we were fortunate enough to win.
When you look at your luck, there are many that feel you make your own luck. You put yourself in a position to come out and win. I know somebody batted a pass down, but at the same time, you made some big plays. The team made some big plays on that historic run to that national championship, no doubt.
The biggest thing is handling adversity, getting up off the ground. The one thing, I'm an old man now, my birthday candles cost more than the cake, but I will promise you this. You're always going to have problems. You're always going to have difficulties. You're always going to have challenges. I don't care how old you are. And we have to learn to make good choices. And in a golf tournament, you have to be lucky to win it. You know, I'm watching the match play, and lo and behold, a guy chips in from 70 yards off the green, and the other guy's got a 3-foot birdie putt. What do? That's part of life. Let's move on to the next hole. It's just, that is the most important thing, is how you react to adversity when things go against you. When they go for you, thank God, and let's enjoy it and let's move on. But let's also understand that the most important thing, Michael, am I getting better or am I getting worse? Am I growing or am I dying? And that's true. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about a marriage, a golfer, a football team, or any other sport. You're either growing or you're dying, and determined, are you trying to accomplish something? The people reach the top and say, oh, this is pretty good. I got it made. Let's not risk anything. They're dying. You always have to have goals. You have to have things you want to achieve in order to have an excitement about life.
I want to ask you a question. You took the job at Notre Dame in 1986. Obviously, we talked about the national championship in '88, but one of the decisions that you made very, very early on was taking the players' names off the back of the jersey. What was the purpose behind doing that?
I wanted to send a message. It's not about you. It's about Notre Dame. There are millions of people that follow it, that care about it. And too many times, particularly when you have some success, everybody wants to stand up and say, I'm the one that's responsible for it. I'm in the Hall of Fame because of what other people did, not because of what I did. But you understand that it's a team game.
You are in the Hall of Fame because of your leadership skills. And so I'll ask you this question as a leader. What's one of the most important things that you share with people about leadership, how to get an individual, maybe yourself or somebody else, to blossom, to improve, or to get a team to improve?
That's a very good question. The answer to me was rather simple. There are only three things that I wanted to develop in an individual. And I say we only have three rules. We'll never have a fourth rule. We have three rules. Rule number one, just do what's right. You know the difference between right and wrong. It's wrong to fight the teammate's wallet before he lost it. It's called stealing. So let's do the right thing. Rule number two, let's do everything to the very best of our ability. Not everybody can be All-American. Not everybody can be All-Conference. Not everybody can be first team. Everybody can be the best they're capable of being. And that's on the football field, that's in the classroom, and everything else in your life. If you're going to play golf, let's go play it as best as we possibly can. And the third thing is we're going to care about other people. You're never going to meet anybody again that doesn't need a kind word, a smile, and encouragement. Everybody's got difficulty. But by caring about one another, we're going to build a love in that organization. You build love in an organization, I guarantee you, whether it be with a team, a business, or a family, you're going to have great success. By doing the right thing, we build a trust between the players and myself. I had to do the right thing also. Number two, I had to show them I was totally committed to excellence. You can't ask people to be totally committed to excellence if you aren't totally prepared in practice or anything else. And then you try to show that you care. Caring about people is not making their life easy. Caring about people is making them the best they can possibly be. And your obligation as a leader is not to be well-liked. As Woody Hayes used to say, if you want a friend, buy a dog. Your obligation is to make them the best they can. And sometimes you have to get them out of their comfort zone. They don't realize how talented they are, how good they can be. And the teachers you remember the most were the ones who were the toughest on you, the most demanding, that made you learn and brought out the best in you. And as I say, I hear from 5 to 10 players each and every week. And I mean, and these are players that have I've been murdered. The police would have investigated because every player would have been a suspect. And I was not well liked. But to me, and I'd be a better coach today than I've ever been before. I'm not going in, obviously, because I'm so old. However, with the millennials, there's certain things about millennials. Everybody got a trophy, no valedictorian, no homecoming queen. They've always had ultra success. They don't know how to handle disappointment. So what you say to a millennial is very important. But what you say is not near as important is your tone of voice. And your tone of voice is not near as important as your facial expression. No matter I get, the more I'd smile, the softer I'd speak. Say, Jim, that was a dumb thing to do. You have no idea how mad I am, but you're going to find out come Monday. But above all, you don't lower the standards for a millennial, but you make sure you understand that you're always criticizing the performer and performance and never criticizing the performer.
Coach, it's always a pleasure to spend time with you. I can't thank you enough for all the things that you've done for those of us that are coaches that follow your example. Congratulations on the Presidential Medal of Freedom. We are so sorry about the passing of your wife back in the middle of the year last year. All the best to you and your family, and I hope that back gets a little bit better and you're out on the golf course soon. All the best, my friend.
Thank you very much. And life's not determined by the number of breaths you take, but it's determined by the number of breathtaking moments you have. And being in the White House receiving Medal of Freedom was one of those moments. Always a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Coach Lou Holtz. All right, when we come back here, we're going to show you a shot that I know Coach Holtz has. That soft little flop shot around the green. We're going to get to that next on Course Road.